and welcome to the GITEX Tech Waves Podcast, where we bring you the latest trends and innovations from the shifting tides of tech worldwide. Broadcasting to you right now from the centre of GITEX Global. It is, of course, the biggest tech event in the world. And my goodness me, can't we tell it? We are in the middle of the Dubai World Trade Center, and literally thousands of people are walking past our broadcasting booth every single hour. Fortunately, we do occasionally manage to persuade one of them to come in and talk to us. And today I am delighted to say I'm being joined by a very special guest. We have Nasri Nassereddine, who is Regional Vice President of Software AG, joining us in the studio. He's responsible for Cumulosity IoT. We will be getting to that in the next few minutes. But the title of our episode today is The Rise of the Internet of Things. Thank you so much for joining us. Lovely to have you with us.
Thank you, Georgia. I'm really glad to be here.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure because there's been one overarching trend that has dominated conversations at this year's GITEX, and probably will for a few years to come, and that is artificial intelligence. But actually, you're here to discuss that other big trend that's in town, and that is the Internet of Things.
Correct.
How would you describe the importance of the Internet of Things?
So the Internet of Things is not something new. It's been there from so many years, but it did not actually get its own portion in our operations, organizations, works till recently. And what helped more is the rise of these disruptive or distinguished technologies. So, these days we know about the 5G and how the 5G actually changed the game of the communication. We also see the rise of the cloud technology, and everything is on the cloud, and everything is actually being easily accessible across. We also see, for example, the rise of the edge computing, quantum computing. All of these things together, they have helped in order to utilize data coming from unusual sources, like sensors, like devices. And this is where, for example, the IoT, the Internet of Things, comes into the picture. And remember, till Corona time, there was a lot of focus on doing things in a physical way. But after that, the focus on the contactless technologies, remote access for our operation services, ordering things online and so on, helped in increasing the focus on on utilizing the nanotechnology. So now we can find any sensors we want in a cheaper price, in any way we want, and we can use it and we can blend it in our operations. That's why you see, for example, autonomous cars, or you see, for example, the electric cars. You will see smart watches. You will see smart sensors for our home, like AC, like light, like electricity, and so on. So the rise of these technologies help to elevate the importance of the Internet of Things. Last but not least is the AI. And the AI, which count a lot on the data, it requires sources that generate a trusted data. The data can be in any form, in any shapes. Can be in systems, can be in applications, can be manually fed. But when it comes from sensors and devices, these are trusted sources and they generate a lot of data. To me and to everyone, I believe the AI and IoT, they are two faces for the same coin. One elevated the other one, and one shows the importance of the other one. And this is where actually we are seeing the important trends, recent trends for increasing the value of the Internet of Things.
Okay, let's get into that importance. Let's get into those trends. What are, the top 3 that you would like to recommend to us or that you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, so I mentioned about the rise of the latest technology trends. As I mentioned, the 5G, the cloud, and everything we have highlighted, how these things can help. So of course, they facilitate the IoT adoption, but there are also the response from the market. So we see a lot of focus recently on digital transformation or on digital twin, which is becoming a trend for every sector. So if you talk about energy sector, if you talk about utility sector, even if you talk about the government, they focus a lot about the digital twin or the digital transformation. Now, what does that mean? And let's put it in a perspective, When we talk about digital transformation, it's about this journey to move from wherever you are now to where you want to be. And where you want to be is either efficient or more productive and so on. And this is where, for example, in Software AG, we help on this digital transformation journey and so on. But one of the important pillars of that is the Internet of Things. And why? Because when you talk about digital twin, we don't talk about the data duplications, which we copy paste in many sources. But we talk about the digital replications, which means replicate data coming from sensors, devices, applications into the visual analytical sides that give you a real-time sense in between all. And that's why many of the industrial and non-industrial sectors, they are actually moving into the digital twin. That's why you see people, no more IT manager. He call himself a chief digital transformation and so on. This is the second important trends. Third, but last but not least, is the response that we see from the regularity sides. All the governments in the region, they are in a way or another, they released initiatives in a nation level that can help on the IoT adoption. If I give you a small example, what we see here in UAE through Smart Dubai or Abu Dhabi Digital Authority, all this national initiative for the decarbonization strategy. Where do you think these things will be applicable? It's applicable actually on the digital twin, on the sensors, devices, and so on. If you go to Saudi Arabia, you see initiatives like NEOM, like the Red Sea, and all of these initiatives, they are directly or indirectly focus on the Internet of Things. And these are like trends, response, and initiatives that help on the IoT adoption.
Okay, so we've heard the use cases and the trends for IoT adoption, but what are the challenges?
That's a good question, because like any other new initiatives, when it comes and it starts actually having a mass deployment and everything, new challenges come, new issues come. And these things are always in exploration phase. There's no perfect way of moving things smooth. So one of the things that we actually explored, the reason I'm highlighting we, because we play a big role in that. So Cumulocity, for example, it's a world leading, as per Gartner and Forrester, when it comes to an IoT platform. It's a powerful platform that helps across. So we have gone through so many projects. I'll share with you my perspective from regional perspective, at least from here, where we have faced these serious challenges that they sometimes resist the adoptions or create a lot of issues for you to adopt these trends. One of the biggest issues we face is the legacy infrastructure we go across. If I want to go to a municipality, for example, or if I want to go to transportation, or even I want to go for a manufacturing, those organizations, they've been working and operating since so many years. And they adopted so many technologies, processes, policies that been working for a while in a good way. But these things are somehow locked, either locked by device or locked by system or locked by transitions, and they became a legacy. Now, the way to handle or to tackle these things is by having, for example, a platform that comes with device agnostic. It comes with an open protocols. It can talk with the locked protocols, integration side or devices sides, as well as with the latest and the greatest on these standards, universal standards. But this is one of them, and this is like a really serious issues. But remember, we said open protocol platforms for a legacy systems and challenges. Fine, we came with that. But with that solution, another challenge came. Because I'm talking about open protocol, and we know how these things are sensitive because it talks about the data privacy and the risks and returns. So it's a true solution for a challenge, but then a new challenge came from that solution. And of course, it's not hidden, but when it comes to risk management, data privacy, this has been always a sensitive topic, whether it's an application or non-application. Since now we're talking about a device agnostic platform, we're talking about open protocol platforms, we need to keep a proper focus on the data privacy that can be generated from this flying data around us and the risk associated with that. So this is another serious challenge that we said. Third challenge, as you mentioned, 3 or 4, and this gonna be sometimes difficult to explain, that everyone look into any initiatives as cost.
Okay.
Oh, okay, how much budget? How much would it cost me? Is it worth it? It's
Always.
not worth it. As usual. And it could be in anything, in any technology, not only in IoT.
Yeah.
But why it's more difficult in IoT? Because the value comes out of the IoT are not easily measurable. You cannot measure the return of investment out of that.
Because you haven't got a model where you didn't do it.
Because you're doing it for the first time.
Yes.
You are changing the behavior of your organization.
It's brand new.
Brand new. And you want to know where you are betting that by investing in IoT, I would increase my efficiency or increase the productivity of my organization. Question is how we can measure it, and then so on. So the issue is that most of the people, they think about it as a cost or as an investment in the beginning, which is still a big challenge, rather than focusing on the return on investment. How much I'm saving, how much I'm optimizing, how I can really measure the productivity of my organization. So I have a visibility to assess if I'm getting this much, how I can get better, and so on and so forth. So this is like the challenges we face it. Last but not least, if I may elaborate more, and I have seen this is a big issue, that IoT is not about optimizing one vertical in your organization. And let me elaborate more. What does it mean, verticals? Any organization, they don't have only one line of production. They don't have one department. Yes, it's an organization that produces something. Take, for example, the manufacturing. Let's say steel manufacturing. They manufacture steels, they go through but within their back office, there is so many silos of verticals that they operate independently. And when you talk about an IoT, you cannot talk about each one separate. You have to talk about the entire ecosystem and then so on. What you need to tackle this problem, because these initiatives start with one vertical, but then all of a sudden you start rolling out. So you need a platform that is scalable. Scalable means I need to build a layer that I can federate data from many sources, usual sources, unusual sources. I use that data federation in order to democratize it, so I can use it, you can use it. And it's not only that technical engineer, not only that civil engineer, the data should be democratized across all. And maybe later you think of how I can monetize this data, how I can sell the data that came from my operation and so on. So scalability is important for the IoT adoption. If you don't tackle the scalability plan, you will face issues and challenges on the adoption side.
I'm interested to know whether adoption of IoT technology is more pronounced in certain regions. Obviously, you're here exhibiting at GITEX Global. There's a huge amount of sort of being at the first, being in the, ready for the future, making the future here in the Middle East. Potentially more than in Europe, for example. Have you seen greater enthusiasm for the tech here?
Oh yeah, big time. And it's actually from the private sector and the public sector, both of them. So there's a lot of focus on sustainability, as you know, across the entire region. Now, what does that mean? How we can adopt that and why and so on and everywhere. So even from the United Nations, when they released these pillars of the environmental, social and governance, where it actually focuses on the sustainability factors and so on, we as a region, we also respond, and sometimes we go ahead of other markets and other countries. So the focus on sustainability as well as on the renewability become really a key driver for so many nationwide initiatives. I'll give you a few examples to explain how, as a region, we are responding to that and in which way. So I'll take a few examples where it focuses, as a big title about sustainability and renewability. But if you go into the details, the sky is your limits. There are so many initiatives that can support in that. So we see, for example, a lot of focus on traffic management. We see a lot of interest on smart parking, how I can use and utilize these small sensors for smart parking. When we talked about the traffic management, it is very essential for customer journey or for happiness of citizens. How much it frustrates you when you're stuck in the traffic. What type of information the traffic authorities, they can capture from your car, from any sensors around your cars that can help to reduce this traffic so we can be more efficient and so on. is another initiative, for example, around the energy management, especially in the industrial sector. So that's why IoT means Internet of Things, but we see these days about something called IIoT, which is Industrial Internet of Things. The reason is that
bigger scale.
Yes, 100%, because these factories, they consume a lot of people, they consume a lot of energy, a lot of electricity, and therefore they produce a lot of carbons and emissions and so on. So there is a lot of focus on them, on utilizing not only IoT, but also the AI, of how they become efficient, how they increase the productivity of their operations, and how they reduce as much they can on these carbon footprint resources and so on. That's why we see focus on solar panels and another alternative sources of energy that can help them to be more efficient. So they, instead of talking about assets management, we talk about something called predictive maintenance for assets.
Okay.
Rather than being reactive, I want to be proactive and so on. Other interesting topic is, waste management around our cities and so on. Do you know that these bins, they generate because of the lot of mix of so many substances within these bins, it generate a lot of unenvironmental emissions that can hurt us or hurt our environments. So there is, for example, waste management or smart bins, where they can identify a better way of not only maintaining the least of these emissions, but also the recycling sectors and so on. So recycling, it's applicable here. Last but not least, I'm sure you heard about smart cities.
Absolutely. And it sounds like all of those things you've just been describing link in together.
Exactly. So if you look about the smart cities, is the biggest architecture, and all the initiatives I shared with you, they are small initiatives that link together.
Yeah.
But then again, they are all help on sustainability and durability. Unlike before, I mean, for every building, every district, every campus, every city, there is a focus, for example, on electricity management. We focus on the plumbing management. We focus on the look and feel. But now there is, in urban planning, a lot of focus on the digital infrastructure. So how we can make these cities smart cities, and how all this initiative I shared with you, they can be aggregated or they can be linked under that umbrella. So if you see new districts or initiative, maybe by Ahmar, by Nakhil, they always focus on that part now. So you go to your home, you find that there is one small device in your home which help you to control your AC, help you to control your light, and also, and most of the time, you link it to your mobile, and before you come, you remotely control all of these things, even the access to your door, building, home, that is controlled by the mobile. And because of the AI, and I would like to say here, I don't think anymore smart city is a new term. It's becoming an old term. Now we're talking about something called intelligent cities.
Where they preemptively respond or preemptively react?
Proact, but much more than this. Remember what we talked about the IoT. It generates a lot of data, right? And a smart city count on the IoT to make the city more smart by reading the data from these devices and so on. But what's next? How I can leverage this data for? And now with the AI, and I'm talking about the generative AI, it takes all this data and it actually gives you a better decisions or a better information or a better analytics. So if I apply this, for example, as I mentioned before, for manufacturing, where they have so many assets, so many machines, instead of doing machine monitoring, what is the temperature? What is the vibration? Is it okay now to continue production, or shall we put it for maintenance planning and so on? No, we say, let's do something called predictive maintenance, where I can, ahead of time, predict how far and how long this machine can work with me, so I can better utilize it and so on. And this all are counting on the data and so on. But all of them, if you add, this is what we are talking about, intelligent city, which is the future definitions of how we utilize the IoT into the AI. That's why you see now, I mentioned about IoT. Then I mentioned about IIoT, right, which is Industrial Internet of Things. Now I'm mentioning about AIoT, which is artificial Internet of Things or artificial intelligence of things. And these are the things that we see it these days.
It's a brave new world, clearly a very brave new world, and it's going to be where everything is utterly interconnected. I mean, absolutely fascinating interview. You've opened my eyes to the Internet of Things, and no longer will I say that the biggest trend coming out of GITEX was artificial intelligence, because we would have missed out on the Internet of Things if we hadn't had this conversation. Nasri Nassereddine, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you join us here on the GITEX Tech Waves podcast. And if you want to see more interviews just like that, make sure you subscribe to the GITEX Tech Waves podcast. And of course, if you want to see new episodes as they arrive, you need to follow us on social media at GITEX Global.